I figured we'd just do a little check-in, just little support and, just leave it there since we're such a small little group.
Yeah.
So I don't know if either one of you wants to go first.
Doesn't matter, Lori. What do you?
I've been curious about you. How have you been handling everything?
So, yeah, I was just thinking, it's hard to believe it's just a week since, I mean, like we met and then I got that email and so I'll kind of jump around because my sister sent flowers from both, her family and my family, our combined families, a big arrangement. And Fafa and my mom both always loved flowers. So we got a text of a picture of the flowers from her daughter, from Fafa's daughter, saying the gorgeous flowers arrived and mom is enjoying them so much. And she talks to them as she goes by them, which is just so Fafa and so cute. And Minu, her daughter, said that, I don't know exactly, but just that there had been a lot of ups and downs and changes with health and with mood. And they're still, they're trying to figure out about visits, and there was some miscommunication perhaps, because we got the message not directly from the family, we got it from a friend of the family, but the two daughters were, copied on the email. So I thought, the family had made this decision and it was just too difficult for them. It was easier to have a friend it's the friend who owns the house, that owns the house that Jack and Fafa were renting, that people from out of town were going to stay in, because now Fafa is staying at her daughter's house. All this is all in the same city, so it kind of made sense. I mean, in fact, when I saw it come across during our meeting and saw who it was from, and I was like, oh, it's just some kind of housekeeping about getting there. But anyway, so getting this, getting this text, then the other thing, Minu said is that mom loves you all so much and wants to lay eyes on your faces. So it's like, please be patient with us while we figure things out. So so it's like on Wednesday after our meeting and after I read the email, and I know I put a lot of this on Facebook, at least in shorthand, I just burst into tears and I went in to tell Dad, and Dad was doing mentally gymnastics about it, like, who is Annie, and I don't think, who is she to tell us that we can't come, and why are they telling us we can't come, and this should never have happened, and we could have gone before, and and he was, and I was like, you're not helping me. And I was like, I thought we could grieve together. And then I just left the room, slammed the door, came in here and just cried. And then later I went back out when I was calm and I was like, how are you? And he was like, I'm okay, and our relationship is okay. I said, well, I just, I realized we're going to handle this different ways, and that's fine. You're going to have to do what you do, and I'm going to have to do what I do. And he said, well, we're really not so different. I just don't show it like you do. And he's like, everything that you did, I'm not surprised by. I mean, he's learned. I mean, I'm probably the most emotionally expressive person in my family. I always, just as a sideline, I always, growing up, saw my mom as emotional, my dad as the logical, rational one. I also saw which one was more respected, but I always felt like I was more like my mom, and I learned how to be more rational and logical. But that, intensity of emotion obviously is part of who I really am. And I'm, like when he wants me to not cry because he doesn't want to see me sad, I'm like, I'm going to cry when I need to cry. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm done playing those games and I'm going to be me, and I'm going to. And so he's learned, he's like, I know you, and that's, everything you did. So he was fine, and of course in his mind, maybe he'd gotten, I mean, I think, there's so much he just doesn't understand. Like he didn't understand how fragile Fafa was. He didn't understand how quickly she might decline. He didn't understand that, yeah, we said as soon as we knew we wanted to go and we were waiting for them. It's not like we put off go, all those things. And it's like, I didn't need to deal with any of that. I just needed to deal with this shock and loss of not, at that moment thinking, and even now, we still may not see her again. And she could still die at any moment. So there's all of this. It's been obviously a really emotional week, even with that news that there's a possibility, there's a possibility it won't happen. So this weekend was hard because what I really needed was just to not put any pressure on myself. And I've talked a little bit about these 3 lists I have of a fun, a routine activities and things that'll get me moving out of the house. And on the weekend, I tried to do something from all 3 lists. And it was like, and also it keeps becoming clearer and clearer that how much I need to not be here. But it was like, I just didn't have any energy, like to work on the finances. That's what I would have done. But, and so I kept saying, you didn't know you were going to have this emotional bomb drop. Life happens. You can't just plan, oh, you're going to do something from all 3 parts of your list when you have to react to the reality of life and the emotions that you have to deal with. So there was a little tugging there, but I gave it, but I did. I got to have a really nice walk with one of my friends on Saturday and get out of the house on Saturday, and Sunday gave myself, that permission that, okay, yeah, I was going to do stuff, but I don't have it. That kind of like what I tuned in when you were doing, when I joined this call tonight, and you were talking about, don't worry about what you're not doing if you either can't or have decided, that you're not doing that at this moment, then just do the self-care, do what you need. So there's that. And work is hard, and I am still taking care of myself, and I'm still having my breaks, and I'm taking my naps again, not worrying like, oh, I should be online. And like the other day, I was taking a nap, and I don't have anything, nothing on my phone makes noise except my actual phone. So my boss had actually texted me both through the Teams, Microsoft that we use for work, and on my personal phone. Unfortunately, it was only like 15 minutes later when I happened to look at my phone, and she was like, "Are you done for the day?" It was 4:30, and I was like, "No, I'm just taking a break." But we had started a project. Oh, so this was Monday. Yeah, we had tried to start a project that morning, and she got pulled in 5,000 different directions. So now at 4:30, she was available to work on it. And it was something I needed for us to do together in order for me to make progress on another piece of this major project that she wants to get done. So we worked for 4 hours until 8:30. Yeah, which also then was very draining. I don't know, that might have been last night. Actually, I think that was last night. I'm losing track of days, but it doesn't matter. It was like, I usually work until 6. So, but it was like, she's here, she's focused on this and not being pulled in 5 different directions and reading and sending emails. She multitasks while she's with me, which is, I can't do. And that's fine that she can, but it's just like fires that keep coming up that she, then I can't, I'm sitting there basically watching her work a lot of times. And she's dealing with a lot of mental and physical health issues, as one might imagine. She's pushing herself beyond human possibility with no reward of any kind, no appreciation of any kind. But anyway, I can't make those decisions about how she lives her life. I can just tell her I love her and I support her and I know she's wonderful. Anyhow, so so there's a lot, of having to, when I'm with her, even we're not even literally together because I'm working remote, so we're with each other on the phone, on the Teams. She's really intense, and that can be emotionally draining. Um, so I've taken my naps at different times during the day and been like, this is what I need to be able to do productive work. I was supposed to work on writing something today. It's like, I'm too tired to find words in my brain. So I took a nap and then I wrote it this afternoon. So, I'm doing well at, there's a struggle because some other things, it's a push me, pull you, but I'm definitely on the positive side of the self-care. And I had, like I said, a second therapy session today. So I got really emotional last night that I didn't want to deal with. I shoved those emotions down, said, no, sorry, not tonight. And I think some of them were triggered by, I've actually responded to 2 ads for 2 houses that were for rent and was getting feedback. And then it was like, oh my God, it was like, I'm not ready. There's still too much that needs to be in place for me to be able to make any kind of commitment. But not only that, I just emotionally am being overwhelmed with the situation with Fafa. And, it's just, I'm not in a, it just overwhelmed me. At first it was exciting and then it was scary. And, oh, I can't handle one more emotional kind of, whether it's good or bad emotion. So the one person who had actually responded directly to me, I wrote him back and said, I realize I'm not ready yet, have good luck finding a great tenant. And so, so the other thing is learning and working with my therapist on this whole wave of emotional energy and like crying and like it used to be. It's not like I didn't cry before, but there was always this fear that I would start crying and never stop because there was just so much pain and grief. And what I'm learning and experiencing is this wave, of it rises and then it falls, within the hour, less than that. But, and she actually pointed out nuances I hadn't gotten to yet, because I've been like, okay, it's really good for me to see this happens. I crescendo and then my body calms down on its own. There's a rhythm to it, but what she was pointing out was that emotions actually only last 90 seconds to 2 minutes at a time max. So what is really happening is like you're peaking for those 2 minutes, and then you might just be coming down a little bit, and peak again. But it's more like this as opposed to that, and so that'll be something for me to kind of pay attention to next time. But so we also talked about how that was a really good, she was trying to give me some guidance about ways I might be able to put containers, quote unquote, around that. I was like, well, I'm finding that would be too restrictive. I'm just really, it's important to see this natural rise and fall for me to get this reassurance that, yes, I can be crying and be really intense, and then my body will calm down on its own. So it's really important that I'm experiencing that in a natural flow rather than, she was talking about like, maybe taking a bath and saying, okay, at the beginning of the bath to the end of the bath. And, so it wasn't like anything really restrictive, like, oh, you have to stop feeling, but I was like, I don't feel, she was like, well, maybe what the natural flow is the container. She was just making some suggestions. So, and Kelly and I, we've been trying to figure out our individual schedule. It's been really, we like we're meeting every other week, but we haven't been able to get into a rhythm because things keep happening. And so it's like, are we meeting tomorrow night or not meeting tomorrow night? And I'm like, I don't even know what I need. I don't know what I want. And, so I think I'm just really tired. The emotional drain and the physical drain. And, so, and it is still a push me, pull you. It's like, well, I was also thinking like when going on this trip, that there would be a lot of downtime because we wouldn't be, and I thought, oh, this is be a good time when I can make those phone calls to the different agencies and really get that information collected about what it, the different services and what do they cost, and have that information, that piece of the research done. So I now have to figure out another time to do that. But again, I need to give myself permission. It's just, it's like, okay, I have to give myself permission to not push when I'm not ready. And that's hard. you know.
Yeah. Something that came to my mind while you were talking is the value
To do
of-
anything.
oh,
And so that's giving me a very clear message. And my brain is saying, but every day that goes by that you don't do a phone call or you don't make it, or finances is a day longer, so there is that kind of happening.
I don't know if you're cutting in and out for Lori, but you're kind of cutting in and out for me. I missed, Joy,
So yes, I'm back.
just at the very end there, you were cutting in and out.
Right.
So,
I was kind of repeating myself about
oh, wait.
We lost you again.
Uh-oh.
and my brain every once in a while is, am I cutting it? Yeah, it says it's unstable.
Yeah, everything you just said, we didn't hear. That was a
I
repeat
get-
of what you said before, but you said it was a repeat of something you already said, so maybe we didn't hear.
Let me try to, both times, last time obviously it dropped. It didn't drop this time, but it says my internet is unstable. It gets moody sometimes. Just the physical and emotional is very clear, saying you need to take care and relax.
Yeah.
And the brain, though, is saying, if you don't do stuff, you're not going to get out of the house. And so it's really hard to, I'm saying it's hard to listen to. It's not hard. If you don't have the energy, you can't do it. You can't do it. But I guess it gets back to what you all were talking about at the beginning of the call, telling my brain, yes, I realize that. And when I have the energy, I will do those things. Things will happen in the time in which they're meant to happen. That wisdom.
Are you there?
We lost you again.
My picky little cat that when she stopped eating a few months ago, I bought every single brand of cat food that existed and found the best one. Well, for some reason, I picked up something else at the grocery store. The child is cleaning her plate. She's never cleaned her plate in her life.
So now you know.
And I just ordered a case of the other stuff from Amazon,
Of course.
but that's okay.
She'll
I'm
eat.
like, oh my goodness.
You have options, possibilities, choice.
I tried to give her the old, and she's like, okay, it's not bad, but it's really not the same as this new stuff you found, Mom. Now she's talking to me like, well, okay, see, my bowl's empty. I cleaned it, not just, it used to be I'd get it to where I could see a little bit at the bottom of the bowl, and then I'd give her more. If you've had cats, they think their bowl is empty if it's not completely full. But I would make her at least clean a little spot to the bottom. But now she's never done that in her life. Cleaning the bowl and saying, where's more? I'm like, oh. So that's cute.
That is cute.
I'm delighted to find something that she likes to eat.
Yeah. A couple things that occurred to me while you were talking. One is the value of your reaction to somebody responding about the house, because I think that although other circumstances have made you feel like it's even more urgent that you leave, I think
Now you're breaking up.
Oh, am I? Oh, yeah.
I'm not.
Oh,
But you were breaking up. So I don't know. Now you're
Okay.
frozen.
oh, Am I frozen for you, Lori?
Maybe I should, what, should I log out and come back in?
Yeah, go ahead, try that. Yeah, try that.
Okay.
Oy, the internet.
But where would we be without it?
I know. That's true. We'd be alone in our
Yeah.
houses.
What's happening?
We were just commenting on the cursing and the curse and the blessing of the internet. And feeling that it's more a blessing than a curse. Am I still cutting out?
That's true. Well, your pictures are frozen. My thing is saying my internet connection is unstable. Lori was frozen until your face, but I heard the blessing and curse part.
Try turning off your camera. Sometimes that helps. Is
Okay,
it better? Can you hear?
maybe. Yes, I can. You seem,
Seems a little more stable.
yeah.
Okay. So what I was saying was the reaction to the possibility of finding a place, I think is really valuable information, because although you have other circumstances that are making you feel like it's even more urgent that you leave, there's, like you can't just move over that reaction, and so it's kind of like the reaction and the overwhelming feelings and the exhaustion kind of go together as setting the pace, and although you your head may want, you may intellectually think, it should go faster. I think that those things are telling you what the pace is, and those are more dominant because they're coming from your emotional self, so I think that acknowledging that you're not ready is important to the process. It doesn't mean you can't continue to get ready, but you can't really go regardless of if the chores and the finances and all of those things are aligned. If you're not ready, you're not going to be able to go. So I think that just knowing from that experience that you're not ready, you're not emotionally ready, that you can just relax, and say, I'm here, I'm working on it, and I'm not ready, and that's okay. And I think that if this honoring your own flow, honoring the fact that
After you said I wasn't emotionally ready, what did you say? Because you were,
oh shoot,
dragging. I know.
I don't know.
I don't know if moving to a different part of the house would make a difference.
It was recorded, so that's good.
Let me go. Yes.
Are you moving?
Yes, I was thinking about that too. I'm going to go where my internet is.
Okay.
And now there is really, this is my disaster room.
I mean,
I know
the point that I was making is that honoring, if you think about this, this arc that you're really wanting to explore, because to me, what comes from that is there's a bottom, it's not an endless pit. And so when you can go into emotional difficulty, find the bottom and come back up, and you're learning that wave in yourself, that's really important. And I think that it's kind of in alignment with that, not being ready to move, and that being honoring where you are, because that's what you said. You said, I don't want to put a a container on this. I want to see what it is. I want to honor the value that it has organically, right? So the same thing is true of your readiness, that even if you get all the ducks in a row, if you're not ready, you're not ready. Just like with your sister and the whole dispute of can you go or can you not go?
Mhm.
Your own internal readiness needs that same, because that's, all the conversations we had were, I want to honor the process. I want to honor my process. I want to honor the what I need from this relationship in order to feel the green light, right? So to me, it's the same thing from you, like your own internal green light. And just because you don't want to be there doesn't mean that you're ready to go, And so to allow that, having that feedback is really good. So there isn't really emotionally the same urgency that you have mentally about it. Emotionally, you're still in a preparing place, and that's okay. And that it's okay to be with that and to honor that and move forward as you can, but know that you need your own internal green light to make that jump. And that process is like this one, that it's organic, and that if you follow your heart and you listen to yourself, because that's really been the growth that I've seen is I'm going to turn off the external voices, right? I'm going to tune into my internal voices. I'm going to honor my knowing, and I'm going to let that drive, right? That's the growth curve that's been going on.
Mhm.
And in that, letting my knowing and my authentic self drive, the right choices will be made, right? And so, and that's what I hear you saying with wanting not to try to manipulate your own emotional experience, right? And
Right.
so the same thing in my mind is true of the move. So, and the not wanting to move forward with the details may be related to a concern that if you get to the end of the details, you're going to jump over your own knowing and readiness, And so to just be where you are, you don't want to do that. You're too tired to do that. You're too sad to do that. And you're not ready. And when you're ready, you'll know. If you let your internal knowing, you let your organic, authentic process drive, then you will know. And that whenever that is okay,
I had more of a sense that it was just that there was a lot of emotional overwhelm,
Mhm.
like, if I wasn't dying, if I hadn't had this, expectation we were going to visit, and then that was gone, and dealing with those emotions and dealing with navigating, dad's emotions. And I was just when I was talking to my therapist, Shivani, it was just a lot of, there's just been a lot of grief this winter, and not just people dying, but learning about the pain of some of my friends' lives who I might not have kept up with over the years, but then so I was kind of thinking, and I guess it's true in a different perspective. It was like, if I wasn't having emotional overwhelm from all of this other, maybe I would have been ready. And so that's still true. When all of this
Yeah.
settles down in whatever fashion it's going to,
Right.
related to Fafa, related to work or whatever, whether work will change or not. I very much appreciate what you're saying about, honoring, and yes, this is good information. And I felt like, oh, this is good information. I reached out about these two houses, and of course one was like in the woods and the other was, you know, a green energy. And, you know, I was like, obviously it was the other ones I've been looking, I've done 2 searches that send me messages, you know, about, and you know, some of it's apartments, some of it's, you know, in towns that are too far away. But it was like, this was it actually motivated me to write, to and then to see what that felt like. And so that's important information.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what the not readiness is about, you know, but to feel into that and know, oh, I felt not ready, and know you'll feel ready also, you know.
I'm laughing because I'm in my spare room, which is, and the cat likes to sleep on clothes back there, but now she's wandering like, what are you doing in here? I don't understand. And she keeps pacing around and crossing over. She's like, you're not usually in this room. This is my hiding place. You're got your number. So it's hard being patient with oneself.
Yeah, seriously. It is.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to kind of, as you were talking, what was going through my mind was, she mentioned it too a couple weeks ago. My therapist was like, I want you, you know, because she's concerned, you know, it's like the other thing is, and I bring up the Paul Simon song, the nearer your destination, the more you're slip sliding away. And it's like, you know, she's worried that I'm going to continue to create all these reasons why I can't leave that are going to keep me stuck.
Mhm.
And she's like, I wanted you to think about when you might feel, you know, when you, what's a deadline? Could we
Mhm.
work, you know, what if we said, you know, you'd be here next Christmas? And I was like, no. I was like, okay, you know. So we haven't really gone back to that, but it's sort of like what feels right. And I'm kind of, part of me is like, now you guys know, I forget who I've told, and I know, I'm pretty sure I've told you all that my youngest nephew is getting married, right?
Mhm.
You know that? Anyway, the wedding is June 4th in Texas. So we hope we can fly. But anyway, I'm feeling like, first of all, I was thinking, you know, maybe by the beginning of April, but then a little wiggle room to beginning of June, you know, but it's like any longer than that doesn't feel good. Now, weighing that with, am I going to be emotionally ready in that time period is also, I guess I have to wait and see, but continue to make progress on what needs to be done.
Well, and I think if you kind of divorce the two, because if there is this emotional chargedness, you know, whatever the reason is, if it's tied to the tasks, there is the possibility that you will not do them because that moves you closer. So if you kind of see them as separate, you know, I can get all ready and then I can see if I'm ready, you know, instead of if I get all ready, I have to go, you know. So to like separate them out in your mind, all these things, all these tasks need to be done, and I can complete them and still decide I'm not ready, right? To keep those separate so that you don't end up, you know, slowing down your pace on the tasks because completing them would mean you have to go whether you're ready or not, you know, because it doesn't mean that. You can be 100% ready on the tasks, on care for your dad, for everything, and say, I'm not ready, you know? So if you keep them separate, then doing them as quickly as possible is advantageous no matter what, you know? And you don't have to tie them, they don't have to be linked.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I'm sorry, I'm being very distracted by the cat trying to settle in a paper bag of recycling or trash. I'm not sure what it is over there, but she's noisy. That's what, yeah, cats. That's why she's named Mischief. Um, Honey Bunch, what? Can you not just? What is that? Let's recycle. Make yourself comfy. Yeah, how about Lori go while I ponder and
Okay, Lori.
deal,
how you
deal
doing?
with the noisy bag. I have a noisy bag.
I'm just so tired. And I was thinking, okay, what do I want to, talk? Well, a lot. I mean, I've already just dumped on Facebook. So you guys, I mean,
How does that feel to share things?
it feels good because it kind of puts it in a third person perspective. And I really like what you had said, Joy, that it just allows more space. I'm not holding it inside. You guys allow more space for it. And so, yeah, I really, yeah, that's very much how it feels. So that is good. And I feel like I've got someone, because I share a lot of Aurelia stuff just on Facebook. But I can't share Jason's stuff, especially he's looking for a job. And I know employers go out and look, okay, what can I find out about this person? And I can't have trash about him out on the internet. I mean, and so so you guys, yeah, you give me a safe place to vent about that area of my life. So that's nice. But right at this moment, I feel like, okay, I've made it through the week, and I don't really want to think about it. I'm tired and I don't want to think about it tonight. Aurelia is out. She's been longing for friends, good friends, for years, and she has found two at her high school. So she and Jordan and these two friends are out tonight. They were playing pool. Now they're out at a movie, and she brought them in. And so I got to meet them for the first time tonight. So that was nice. Everything in a teenage life is volatile, and so who knows what tomorrow is going to bring about anything. But it is nice that she feels like she's got a few friends right now, and I know they are the only reason, when she's teetering on if she should go to school or not, they are the only reason she does, because she feels like she's got somebody. So I am extremely appreciative to them. And so it was important, I mean, kind of a big deal for me to meet them tonight, even though it wasn't for very long. But so that's my event for tonight, that I am, well, that I don't know, that's just my experience for tonight, and that's where I am.
That seems like a big deal, like, because I know how much that's been a struggle for her, and so that seems like a really big deal. And I know, you never know the way friendships go and when you're that age, but even just to have them, when I know she was feeling like that wasn't gonna, she wasn't clicking with anybody, that's a big deal. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, at that age and with all of her difficulties, to be connecting to people and then to have that as a reason to go to school. It doesn't matter what the reason is if it gets you there. And
Seriously.
certainly the social aspect of high school is one of the most important parts of it.
Yeah.
Forget the academics.
Exactly.
So,
And I
that makes me happy for her and you.
having more than just Jordan too, so that kind of diversifies. So when they're, shaky, then she can talk to them too. And, and she doesn't feel like if it's not him, then she's totally alone, like that's valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that just that roller coaster, I think that's really the linchpin, is to what extent can you get off it, and how, like to separate, as much as you can, because it just seems like it's it's a wild and never ending ride, you know.
It is right now. It is. Well, and then next week, is Valentine's Day
Mhm.
and her birthday. And, so for years, Valentine's Day it's more depressing for her because she sees other people with somebody and she's never had anyone on Valentine's Day. So, but with things being so rocky, I never know from one minute to another. Okay, are they still going to be together by Monday? It's a valid question. And I know how important it is to her. And then 2 days later is her birthday. Last year, she started communicating right around her birthday. She started communicating with a boy who had gone to her old high school that was a very bad experience overall. And she felt like she was kind of starting to connect with him. And she was trying to be cautious, but she was developing a friendship and possibly some emotions more than that. Well, they were communicating for a couple of weeks, I think. And then it ends up, he was working with the bully at the other school. He was trying to befriend her only to crush her at the amusement of him and the bully and who knows what else. So that was a defeating moment for her. And so this is a very hard time for her. So I know how important Valentine's Day and her birthday are because she needs to replace those awful memories. And so, but so I'm trying to figure out, well, one, I just hope they stay together to make some positive memories. And I want to be able to contribute to that. I would love to have like just a weekend trip to get away from, but anything that we do requires money. And so, so that's a factor. Okay. Anything special that I do try to do, what's a wise sacrifice on that. So that's stressful. And that, their whole relationship is stressful and just hoping next week goes well. And then, yeah, and just lots of other things. So it's just a stressful time right now, I guess. Any more so than normal? No, probably not. But I don't know. It feels like it right now.
Well, it sounds like the stakes are higher next with what's coming up next week, but I think what I was thinking as you were talking is things are 1,000 times better no matter what happens, because last year she was being actively pursued and tortured by bad people, and she was out of school and, or was she in school at this time last year?
I think she was
still in
trying to be at school.
But, I mean, I think having had this relationship with Jordan, whether or not it's stable, teenage relationships are not particularly stable. And so having had a successful relationship, regardless of, where it's at this point, she's been able to connect with somebody who connected with her also. That's just a fact. Like they've had a relationship and they have both cared for each other, and she's in school and she's making friends. I mean, so like from that perspective, it's vastly better already than a year ago, I mean, and I think that probably better to wait a week to have this conversation, but after her birthday, it could be helpful to really add up those wins, and draw that picture and really, praise her for the things that she has been able to do, and to try to sort of help move those old things out and to say, wow, I think about last year and I'm just amazed at how much progress you've made, and all these differences from your experience a year ago. Because I think that part's important, and hopefully they'll be together on Monday, and hopefully she'll have a positive Valentine experience. But I think given everything that's gone on with her, just the fact that she can have made that kind of connection with another person and they made it with her, is significant. I think that's a win for sure, and taking the chance to go to school again, taking the chance to put herself out there with other students, given the fact that she was bullied in what appears to be such an aggressive way, like that's huge. So I think that, and then on the the specialness, and I know she doesn't always necessarily see this part, but all the research shows that like the big, like big things are meaningless, and that's not what children remember at all. That they remember your presence, that they remember your love and your support, that they don't, the trip to wherever is not, those are not the things that are retained, particularly emotionally, as adults, and that what's retained is the presence and the time and the being there, and so I think number one, you have that already in a huge way, but that in thinking what you can do, I think it's that piece of being there and creating whatever you can with your presence, as opposed to thinking that it needs to be something that is outside of you, that it needs to be something that is bigger than your presence, because that's not what the research shows. The research shows that it's the presence. It's when you think about those key moments in your life, you think about the people that were there, you think about the connections that you had, you think about the love and the support. You don't think about, you don't emotionally, it's not tied into like, parents are always trying to give their kids the big trip, the big party, and that's not those are not the things that Brene Brown is actually one of the people that has done a lot of research on this, and that's not the things that that are significant later.
It's that later piece that
Yeah,
I have to
right,
remember.
right. Yeah, and it is, I mean, it's just like if you forget the difference between last year and this year too, and to take that stock and to know that a lot of that is about all of the things that you've done this year, and that although there are possibilities of difficulties next week compared to where things were even last semester,
Yeah.
it's in a better place. And even the fact that she's owning her own journey more and you're owning your own journey more, that those are great strides for both of you also, and so that but yeah, I think you're enough. Whatever you can do for her that is authentically about your love and support for her is more than enough,
Okay. Good. I hope so.
It's research based, so
I'll just have to tell her next week when she looks at me and says, but Mom, last year we did this, and then this year we don't do anything. And I'm like, yes, but research says.
me being here, me loving you, that's what matters.
Yeah, well, just this morning she tells me your face pisses me off. So, oh, yay. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that the, having that space in the group, I think it's awesome for you to just, like use that and like you did today, like all those things, like if something has a deadline and it has to be done, then it has to be done. But short of that, like listening to yourself when you need that time and then, being able to take it and not worry and not feel guilty, and or feel like you should be doing something else, because then you kind of dilute the power of the time that you give yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have you been able to continue to take yourself to the movies?
I haven't the last couple of months. I need to look at that and balance it, because I went to 2 of them and really enjoyed them. And then the third month I was like, okay, I'm kind of tired, but I need to do this. So I went and I watched the first half of the movie and I very much enjoyed it, but I was so tired. I slept through the second half. And so I was like, okay, so I kind of wasted this time, because now I have no idea how this movie ended, and I would have liked to have known how the movie ended. So it was kind of a waste of time and money. So I'm like, okay, so I do need to think about this and make sure I'm going at the right time,
Yeah.
for the right reason, and not
Yeah.
just because I have to do it for myself when I'm not going to enjoy it. So I need to kind of rebalance that. But
Maybe you can frame it as like a monthly date with yourself, but it doesn't have to be anything in particular, and then
True.
that kind of gives you
that's true.
more
That makes more
flexibility.
sense. Yeah.
And even if it's that, you just go for a walk or you just go out for a drive or spend time in the house when they're both not there, not doing stuff, but
Yeah.
that it's special time, for you, instead of a particular thing that you have to do.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Because I think that, your that sort of default operating place is connecting with what other people need and making sure that they're getting it. And so I think that making sure, checking back and making sure that you're getting what you need is an important thing to do, yeah. And carving it out like you did tonight and in whatever other ways, that you're important to, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Joy, did you have more to share after your pondering?
I did, because I did have a thought and the cat was so distracting, but now she's standing on me, allowing me to pet her. But while I was listening, the thought did come back. There are a couple games I put on my phone, and one is called Zen Match. I don't know why it should be zenful to, it's still, you're trying to match and you can lose and whatnot. But it opens up with a quote. And like a couple of them I've written down, and one said, "There are hidden blessings everywhere. I will find them."
Mm-hmm.
And then another one said, "I have enough, I do enough, I am enough." But the one today said, "I pay more attention to my feelings than what I want to achieve." And I went, that's an interesting thought. And that ties right in to what we were talking. And my reaction was, I couldn't embrace that one like I had embraced the others. It was like, oh, really? So it is. And I'm also just thinking it is this balancing act. Today I'm worn out. This weekend I'm worn out. That doesn't mean forever. It doesn't mean for a long period of time. It means that's what's happening right now. Maybe next weekend I'll have energy and focus to do some other things. So the balancing act between honoring and listening and knowing that that's not a permanent state of being.
Yes.
Is also really important for me to remember.
Yes.
Not to get stuck in, oh, this feeling's never going to go away, or I'm going to feel like not doing anything forever, because that's how I used to think, but that's not how, but so it just was so funny that the quote from the game today was one that went, oh, really? Yeah. Instead of, oh, yes, I can take that in. It was like, I need to work on that one.
And I think that's where like that separation of feeling and doing can be helpful, you
Right?
know, and that, you know, you don't want to run over your feelings to do, but at the same time, there are times when you may not feel like doing, but it doesn't feel like a violation to do either. So it's kind of like that's where there's a little bit of play, you know, where
Mhm.
like if it feels like, oh, I'm violating myself to push into this, don't do it. But there are
Right.
other times when it can be like, I don't really want to do it, but I could move to do it and not be in violation of myself. And so, you know, you kind of want to figure out where you're at with that. And one of the tools for that is to say, I'm going to do 5 minutes. Because usually what happens is you do more, but to just say, okay, I don't feel like doing it. I'm just going to do 5 minutes. And then, you know, do the 5 minutes. And if you still don't feel like doing it, don't do it. But sometimes what happens is that you find that 5 minutes just turns into a half an hour without any effort. And so I think that it's not that you never push yourself beyond how you feel, but that are you violating yourself, you know, or are you just motivating yourself?
And I'm just relating that to like doing the dishes, like last night where I have not done the dishes for 2 nights in a row. And I was tired and it was late. And I was like, I'm not even going to pretend. I mean, sometimes I sort of pretend by putting them in the dish pan. And part of that is so that dad doesn't use dirty dishes. But I'm just like, you know, all he does in the morning is get his orange juice, and I'm usually up before he is. Of course, that didn't happen this morning, but the way I had set it up actually worked. I made sure there was a glass in the spot he knows to look for, a clean glass, and he used it. But it was like, I'm not even gonna try and make the kitchen tidy. I'm just walking away.
Yeah.
And then tonight, when I was fixing dinner, then I was, you know, I had it in the microwave. I'm like even not trying with cooking either. I'm like microwave and picking up food. I'm kind of over that for the moment. It's like, okay, that's microwaving. And I can put the dishes in the dishwasher. And now the kitchen's ready for me to turn the dishwasher on, and I'm done for the night.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
as opposed to last night, it's like, I don't need to do this now. And there was a time where I never want to do the dishes, but I can make it work right now. You know,
Yeah.
I can do these two things simultaneously and be done with 2 tasks.
Yes. And I think that's a good like observation of where you were at in both days.
Yeah.
And how it didn't matter that you didn't do them last night. You know, I mean, I think that that's really the other question when you're looking at, you know, the value of your time is, you know, does this really matter? You know, is it moving the needle forward? And whether the dishes went in the dishwasher last night or today doesn't matter, you know.
Right.
It didn't change any outcomes. It didn't move anything anyway. So, I mean, I think that's good to know too. Yeah, but I just think that sense of honoring yourself and also knowing that you can get all those tasks complete and still, you know, have a separate timeline. Hey, buddy, separate timeline for when you're ready to go, you know.
She
Right.
was just climbing the wall.
I know she has a cat tree. I knew you wouldn't know what that there's actually she is. I mean, they say all cats like heights, but she has always loved heights. I mean, and she'll sit when she was little, she would sit and cry and talk to me and tell me, I'm going to figure out how to get up there. I mean, she would get in the highest places. So it wouldn't be surprising if she was just climbing the wall. She does have a tree in here to do that. So it wasn't, but yeah, back to, I'm sorry, I'm so distracted with baby. I do think that's just really this separation of doing and being and honoring and rhythms and flow and all that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. And everybody, we're all doing the best we can, right? You know, like beating ourselves up for what we can't do on any given day or in any given week or month or year. You know, there's no value there. There's no upside. That we're doing the best we can, and when we can do more, we will. And when we need to do less, we should. You know?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I've been trying to remind myself of that a lot lately, that you know what, I don't know how to do this, and it's okay that I don't know how to do this, and it's okay if the decisions I make aren't the right ones, because yeah, I'm doing the best I can, and I've even told Aurelia that multiple times. Like, sorry, I'm doing the best I can. That's all I can do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, in all circumstances too, you know, there's love, there's care, there's concern for, you know, family and self and others. And that, you know, that's really the best anybody can do. You know, whether or not somebody would make a better decision, whether or not somebody would do something faster or better, it doesn't really matter. You know, like everybody, we're all doing our best with love, with care, with concern for others, and hopefully also adding in that concern for ourselves. And so, you know, that's the best anybody can do. The capacities beyond that are individual and kind of irrelevant because it's not anybody else's life. You know, so it doesn't matter what somebody else could do in your shoes because they're not you and it's not their situation. So it's really, you know, that you're doing the best with the best of intentions across the board, you know, and that's all anybody can do. That's all anybody can ask.
Yeah.
You know, of themselves or anyone else. Anything else anybody wants to share? No.
I don't think so.
I love, you know, I mean, it's just the three of us, and this includes other women who aren't here tonight, but I do love this group. And it's like, you know, just putting all that stuff last week as I was going through it with Dad, and, you know, the support and love you all gave back. And quite frankly, that was all I needed. I reached out to my other friends, and you know, a couple of them, you know, been like, you know, I'm ready to, you know, I'm here whenever you need to talk. And it's like, I don't have the energy to talk. It's sort of like just knowing people are there this week has been enough. And I've been really able to set really good boundaries about, you know, a friend from my Virginia women's group, you know, in the text wanted to share with me a story about an angel. And I was like, maybe I can call you Sunday. And on Sunday, I'm like, I want to hear about the angel, but I don't have energy to talk right now. Another good friend of mine, you know, she said on multiple occasions, I'm here for you whenever you need me. I'm like, I love you. I'm glad you're there. I don't have the energy to talk, but it means so much to know that you're there when I'm ready. I did a lot of great stuff with boundaries with Dad around what I wanted to do this weekend in terms of watching the Olympics, when, you know, he was watching a movie Friday night, and I had fallen asleep, taking a nap. And then I was like, it's 8:15, it's the opening Olympics. And he was like, huh, what? We're watching the Olympics. You can watch that movie anytime. Click. And then Sunday night, he was watching his news, and they were talking about a show that was coming on at 9 about Lyndon B. Johnson. And he said, I'd like to watch that. And I was only halfway paying attention. I said, tonight? I said, no, we're watching the Olympics. They're at 7.
I've been all about the Olympics.
We're not. This is what we're doing. We're not having, I'm not telling you that movie's on later, or that we can find it later. No, this is what we're doing.
That's awesome.
So that's been fun. That's been fun to just be like, very clear now.
That's good though. That's good. All those boundaries, you know, setting getting your needs met, both
Yeah.
by not having and by having. So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah. And being clear about what I needed from folks. And I have felt the love and support of this group, the group in Virginia, you know, and a couple other close friends that it's like, all I can do right now really is text about it. That's enough, you know, and so I just, maybe I've said it before, when more people were with us, and maybe the other women will watch our true confessions tonight. And see, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
just, I love having both these women's groups, serve me, support me in different ways. And this group is a lot more honest and safe. I love my friends in Virginia, but just the boundaries aren't quite as clear, and they get a little blurry, and it gets a little family dynamics shit going on sometimes. So, but that's not to say, of course, I don't love them and honor those relationships. They're just, both groups are different, and they both are so supportive to have in my life. And I just thank you. And thank you, Lori, for, sharing all that you're going through, and being, a listening ear on my end. And like I said, I'm not a parent. I know from hearing parents, you live your children's lives. My sister, when I was with her the last time I saw her, and one of her children, they're all grown. They were in the kitchen and she was crying, and I was like, are they getting ready to leave? Because she always cries when they leave. And her son was like, no, not yet. And Leanne was like, no, I'm just practicing. I'm just getting warmed up. So, I mean, even at this age, them being grown with their own lives, she cries whenever they leave. And I know you just feel like, I mean, you want to wrap my dad, he wants to wrap me in bubble wrap and make sure that I'm never hurt. I mean, that's what when I was so upset, he was like, I'm more upset about you than I am about what's happening with Fafa. It was like that. He didn't want his little girl hurting. So from the other end, and the witnessing end, I do know, how deeply parents feel. My niece lost her favorite doll when she was little, broke my heart. Was lost for 6 months, finally turned up in grandma and granddaddy's house, but it was like, and she would say things like, I hope Sally's in a good home and somebody's loving. And I'm the aunt, I can't imagine as her mom, so I do have some sense of that deep connection with your child, and wanting to protect them from pain, and knowing they have to experience it themselves, and especially with the complicatedness of the relationships. I mean, they all are, no matter what's going on, but I know there are even more elements with Aurelia, but it's it's a lot. It's, witnessing and seeing your strength and your angels, all of that. I just want to give you my love and support, because I know I know it hurts to see her hurting and not being able to wave a magic wand and make it all better for her.
If only. Yeah.
I know. So
Thank you.
Well, thank you both for being here and for sharing. And I hope that just, listening to each other and having a safe space to share, it was valuable.
it was.
Always is.
All right. I will see you maybe before next week, and maybe next week.
I think next week will work.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right.
Have a good week.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
All right.